Good morning and namaste to all of you. Let's start our Saturday class with some prayers first. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhurbhavaswaha, Tatsavitra Varenayam, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. अस्तो मा सद्गम्य तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गम्य मृत्युर्मा अमृतं गम्य ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावै तेजस्वी नावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावै ओम शांति शांति शांति. So the third chapter, Vibhuti-pada, we started a couple of weeks ago. And we have been learning a lot about Samyama. And Samyama is when we can concentrate on something, develop it into meditation, the dhyana, and then take it to samadhi. So it's like a three together on one thing is called Samyama. Okay. And then in verse number 13, where we ended our class, he's talking about the three parinams, like three applications of these parinams. He says the nature, character, and condition in the elements and sense organs are explained. So that's how we become the master of this prakriti. That's how we learn. Whether we want to learn anything about the elements or people or conditions, we can know that with the help of Samyama. And a yogi can perform many kind of miracles with the help of Samyama. And that's almost like a proof to a yogi. Sometimes you want to know, is my sadhana working or not? But at the same time, we got to be aware of it. We don't want to fall flat on our face if we run after the miracles only. Goal is not to perform miracles. What is our goal? Goal is to know who we are, which is the Atma, the soul, which is nothing other than God. That is yoga, the union of the soul with the super soul. That is our goal. Okay, so let's look at verse number 14 today. There is a term dharmi in there. Dharmi. Shant udit avyapadeshye dharmanupati dharmi. Shant. Shant means peaceful, latent. Udit, manifest. Avyapadeshye, unmanifestable. Dharma, the properties. Anupati, common. Dharmi, substratum. The substratum of properties. So this verse really means the dharmi, the substratum, is common in all latent, active, or unmanifestable properties. So substratum doesn't change. Dharmi. There are transformations which are taking place. We talked about three different kind of transformations last week. They will take place in the properties, in the characters and conditions, in the objects also. They happen in our chit also, the deeper part of our mind, our senses also. These changes keep on happening because that is the nature of the prakriti, to change. But there must be something which remains unchanged, which is the common substratum of all these changes. That's why in our yesterday's class, or the day before yesterday, Thursday class, I was telling you that there is somebody awake. during our waking state also, in a dream state also, and in a deep sleep state also. Something which never sleeps. That's what this dharmi is. That is the substratum. So in yogic philosophy, it is a common fact that under all conditions of change, there is an underlying factor beyond any changes. Our rishis, they keep on taking our mind towards that. We all know that body changes with age. But I, or the self, remains unchanged. Not only during this birth, but throughout the whole series of births, this I does not change. Sometimes we misidentify that I. We think that I is this body or the mind or where I live or what I do. No. We are talking about that capital I, which is part of God. So my changing states from childhood to old age are all ascribed to me only because in me there is a principle which is unaltered, unchanged. This is called the dharmi. Dharmi. It is not the body or the mind or the consciousness or the impressions. There are certain other philosophies, they don't believe in it. They don't believe in anything permanent. They say that everything is undergoing a constant change throughout life, like the flame of a candle, which burns continuously and changes every moment. But the yogic philosophy believes what I just said. Okay? Dharmi. Dharmi does not change. Dharmi is the substratum of all changes, past, present, and future. And this is what this shant udit avapadeshya means. You can translate into past, present, and future also. Or the literal meaning is peaceful, manifest, and unmanifestable. Next verse, verse number 15. Kramanyatvam parinamanyatve hetuh. Kram means the order. Anyatvam, difference. Parinam, transformation. We saw that term last week. Anyatve, far difference. Hetuh means cause. So the difference in the process of succession is the cause in transformation. So whether it's a nirodh parinam or ekagrat parinam, okay, whichever parinam it is, the difference is in the process of succession. Kram, the order. Because there's a difference in the succession of events of various things. For example, a lump of mud can be developed into a pot. But it can be destroyed again. And it can become a lump of mud again. So in the same manner, a particular chitta, and you all know the chitta is the deeper part of our mind where all the impressions are, the memories are. So a particular chitta undergoes transformation in a particular manner according to the underlying laws of its nature. And nature is what? It could be sattvic chitta. It could be tamasic chitta. It could be rajasic chitta. Because in the Prakriti, anything can have these three colors or a mixture of these colors too. Little bit sattvikta and lot of rajasikta and a tinge of tamsikta. So this difference in the order of events gives rise to different transformations of the chitta, senses, and elements. And you all know elements means these five basic elements: earth, water, fire, air and space. Those are the elements we are talking about. Everything in this world is made out of these 5 elements. Now the whole structure of Chit should undergo a change. I'm talking about the yogic sadhana. And this process is called involution. Going inward. During our Samyama, that's what we do. We take our attention inward. That's how we learn how to detach from this outer world. See, we expand ourselves in the outer world. That's called evolution. Involution is going inward. So the whole process of samadhi, ekagrat, nirodh is involved in the structure of chitta. Because if somebody says, where is it really happening? It's not happening in the body. When we practice Hatha Yoga, sure, we are working with our body. We are cleaning our body. We are exercising our body. We learn how to feed this body too. But this Samyam which we are talking about, that is happening in the chitta, the deeper layers of our mind. That's why yoga is called Yogash Chit Vritti Nirodha. Got to learn how to. First, we got to understand it. Most of the people, they are not even familiar with what the chit is. It's a very subtle part of our personality. That's why it's called Antakaran. These are the instruments of our inner personality. Sure, manifestation happens in the outer world for us through our body, through our desires, but the root cause is situated in the chitta. For you also to come to this class, that urge, where was that urge? Sometimes it gets ignited from outside. Pick up some book, meet somebody. But the real reason is that there is a seed which was there in the chitta. So the whole process of samadhi, ekagrat, nirodh, which we were talking about, is involved in the structure of chitta. And this sutra says that any change which goes on in the structure of the mind is there because it must be there. So impression was there. We are not familiar with it because it might have happened lives and lives ago. Because our journey is not just a linear journey. It's not only a few decades. It's a cyclical and countless lives. And we keep on putting more and more seeds in there. But once we understand that purpose of life is to attain the moksha, the liberation, to become one with God, yoga, then we start looking inward. Then we understand, no, my purpose is to clean this chitta. Get rid of all those impressions. With a clean slate, we can merge with that ultimate pure, which we call God, Paramatma, whatever word we're going to use. Words have been given by human beings. We have given the names to God. Even if you do not practice any sadhana, and just leave yourself as you are. Even then, in the course of time, your chit will undergo this particular state of transformation. But it may take countless lifetimes. It's almost like if there is a log in the river, ultimately it will reach either the other shore or on the edge. But if that log has a motor on it and somebody is driving it, moving it, has a full control of its motion, then it can take where it wants to go. That is the difference between an ordinary person and a person who realizes that this sadhana is important for me. I want to reach there. I have gotten enough kicks. I want to reach my goal. And by the way, that goal is the same for all of us. No matter which language we speak, which color of the skin we have, no matter who we are. Only as human beings we can recognize it. Even animals or the plants or the stars, there's an Atma everywhere. Every little speck of that Atma, the soul. The goal is to go back to the Creator. But as human beings, we have been given the intellect so that we can do the sadhana. We can just steer our life towards that goal faster. Okay? Now, in the next verse, verse number 16, this verse talks about the knowledge of past and future. Parinamatrayasanyamat atit anagat jnanam. Parinam, transformation, this parinam which we have been talking about. Tre means three, sanyamat, by sanyam. Atit, past. Anagat, future. Jnanam, knowledge. By performing sanyam on the three transformations, knowledge of past and future arises. Future is always a mystery for us. And past just becomes a lot of impressions on us. We don't know what we did in the past. Only thing we know, the result which we see right now. But if we do the sanyam, we can understand why I'm here. What brought me here? That's what he's talking about. So samadhi, ekagrat, and nirodh are the three transformations. That's a tre sanyamat. To perform sanyam on these three means to perform sanyam first on samadhi, then on ekagrat, then on nirodh. We learned that last week. It means you perform sanyam in the form of awareness of the distractions and eliminate them. You sit down in your meditation, daily meditation, morning, evening. And if you're more serious about it, you do longer meditations. Distractions will come because that's the nature of the mind. Mind will bring distractions. Mind is very powerful, but you learn to control your mind. Because once you understand you are not the mind, you have the mind. You are the master of your mind. Then you can remove these distractions. Then you practice sanyam on the awareness of one-pointedness. And similarly, sanyam on nirodh means to become aware of it. Nirodh. You're not suppressing it. You are just not getting attached to it any further. You just let it go. So these three sanyams eliminate the distractions of the mind. And side by side, there is awareness of the state also. And side by side with the removal of distractions also. And you must become totally aware of that removal. It's almost like you are brooming the floor. You are aware of it, what you are doing, but you do not get attached to the dirt. You throw the dirt out. If we start looking at the dirt again and again, then we are getting attached. So the same thing we do in our sadhana. The old impressions, they are there. There's a reason, because we put it in there. But now we have to clean them. This is called Samyama on the three transformations. Then the chit becomes so fine, it transcends the barrier of time and knows the happenings of the past and the future. Where we came from, where am I going? Past and future. As human beings, we are always fascinated with it. We go to other people to find out what my future is. But Yogi Guru says, do the sadhana, you can find out yourself. Not only the past, like last week or the last month or the last year, you can find out about your last life also, or several lives. You can go back as long as you want to go back. But then don't get attached to it though. You have to be clear what you want to do with that knowledge. See, knowledge is definitely, it's a power. But what to do with that knowledge? That's more powerful. Because otherwise, knowledge itself becomes a burden. If I know what I was in my last life, just knowledge of that alone, that is not sufficient. Or yesterday, if I ate something wrong, I have a stomach ache today, that knowledge is, sure, I ate something wrong, but then what do I do with it? Don't make the same mistake. Don't eat the same thing, or don't eat as much. So applied knowledge is the real, has the real value. We got to remember that. Now, starting from this verse 17, he's going into several vibhutis. So remember, all these vibhutis, they have been given to us over here, the list of them and what they are, because sooner or later, you will experience this. Sometimes they come on their own, or sometimes, if there's a need for it, a yogi cultivate these two. But the need has to be beneficial to others. Yogi never uses these powers to show off or for personal gain. So let's look at verse number 17. Shabdarthapratyayanam itaretaradhyasat sankarah tatpravibhagasanyamat sarvabhootarutajnanam. This is a little longer sutra. Shabd means word. Arth means object. Pratyanam, the mental content. So that means what's in the mind, that thought form. Itaretaradhyasat, because of mental superimposition. Sankar, confusion. Tat means that. Pravibhag, separate. Sanyamat, by Samyama. Sarvabhoot, all living beings. Rut means speech. Jnana means knowledge. So this verse is about knowledge of all speech. The word, object, and mental content are in a confused state because of a mutual superimposition. By performing Samyam on them separately, knowledge of the speech of all beings arises. See, as human beings, sometimes we don't even understand what the other human being is saying. That's why we have to just keep on saying that I didn't mean it. But over here, Yogi says, a yogi can understand the language of any being, whether it's a dog or a cat or even a tree. Any kind of a sound, they understand. A bee, They all make sounds. The birds. But we know that our knowledge of objects is confused because of a confusion of shabd, arth, and pratyay. But if we do sanyam on them separately, we can know the speech of all, at least to start with the human beings, but then with the animals also. But the sound should be separated from the object, and the object from the idea. For example, the word cow, the object cow, and the pratyay cow. See, idea of a cow is different for different people. So Sanyam should be done on these three factors separately. So the superimposition or confusion between the word, the object, and the pratyay or mental experience is removed. So pratyay is like a mental experience. See, different people have different mental experiences from the object cow. For example, a Hindu will say, it should be protected. Not only protected, worshipped. There is a separate day to worship the cows by the Hindus, while a Muslim will say that it should be slaughtered. This is the difference in pratyay. Object is the same, but then there can be a difference in the names. In different languages, there are different words for the same object cow. When you make a difference between the form cow, the name cow, and the idea of cow, and do sanyam on the three, this sutra says you will know the speech or the language of the cow or any other animal or any creature. These are the secrets of yoga, which people do not practice because they are difficult. Why they are difficult? Because we need to do the abhyas. You remember those two things? Abhyas and vairagya, we have to practice. And then he told us how long we should practice. He said continuously, constantly, for a long time, until you reach there and with love. And then he said vairagya also, the detachment. So until our mind is detached from everything else, can we do the sanyam? We can't. In fact, the detachment is more important than the abhyas. A lot of people, they do a lot of abhyas, but no detachment, no dispassion from this world. Then that's how the arrogance comes also in those practitioners. I'm a better practitioner. I have done this for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. But when there's a dispassion, you don't even care how long you've been doing it. Others might say that there's something different in you. What do you do? How come you're so peaceful? How come I see the radiance in you? But you are not even aware of it because your goal for practice is not to attain any of that. So every object in the world has three components, which are called vibhag, namely sound or word, the form, and the idea. You should be able to do sanyam on the sound waves separately, on the form separately, and also on the idea separately, if that interests you. See, that's how the scientists, if they can bring the yoga and the science together, this is what they'll be doing. But this is very difficult. And how do we know our previous births? Let's look at the next verse. Number 18. Sanskar sakshatkarnat purva jati jnanam. Sanskar, impressions. Sakshatkarnat. See, sakshat means like a direct perception. It's right in front of you. It's not indirect. It's a direct sakshat. And whenever there's a sakshat, that means there's no doubt in your mind. So visible to you, so clear to you, you understand it. Sakshat karnat. Purav means previous, jati means birth, jnanam means knowledge. By direct perception of the impressions, knowledge of the previous births arises. You remember when he was talking about the yam and the niyams? He mentioned that when he was talking about aparigraha. Ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, aparigraha. Aparigraha is the fifth yam. He said, if you are firmly established in aparigraha, you will know your previous births. So the similar thought over here, he says, by direct perception of the impressions. So you do the sanyam on your impressions, on your sanskars. You will know, what did you do? When did you do? Effect of that you're going through right now. It could be certain ailments, or it could be a certain fortune fell in your lap, or you met somebody, something good or happened, because we have sanskars of the good karmas also and not so good karmas also and mixed also. The seeds are all in our chit. And he says that you'll have a direct perception of it. You will know. Lord Buddha said the same thing. If you read about him, that I can see my past lives very clear. Sanskars are of two types. They could be the memory and they could be the vasanas. What is the difference? Memory is a subconscious. Vasana is unconscious. When in memory, the sanskars are arranged in a definite order. Memory. When in the unconscious, they are not so arranged. So that's why you can say that memory is definitely smaller than the vasana. Countless lifetimes of vasanas are embedded in our chitta. The sanskars which are giving rise to the fruits or effects are stored in the form of prarabdha. You remember? The prarabdha karam, the sanchit karam, the kriyaman karam. That's how beautifully our rishis, they have dissected this law of karma for us. Prarabdha karmas are the one which we have brought with us in this lifetime. Prarabdha karam. So out of the storage house of the karmas, handful we brought with us. Did we have a choice which one to bring? No. Because fruit giver is the Lord. We have the freedom to do the actions. We don't have the freedom to choose which fruits we'll get. But Prarabdha, he gave it to us. We brought it with us. But those are the karmas done by us though. So the sooner we accept it, the faster we'll go through this life not creating more karmas, but eradicating the impressions also. So the sanskars which are giving rise to the fruits or effects are stored in the form of prarabdha. It's almost like a sound is stored in a CD. Or these days they say in the cloud. See, when I press the button for the recording, it said it will go into the cloud. It's stored somewhere. So the same thing happens with our karmas also. It gets stored. And this whole system is so sophisticated. And how did the yogis found out about this system? Because they did the Samyama on it. So there's a technique to find out. Definitely to go through the technique is difficult. Because the fruit is so beautiful too. The bigger the fruit, more difficult the technique. To go to a Ivy League school, the student has to work harder, get better grades, have a lot of other qualifications. The same thing over here too. By practicing Samyama on the impressions that can be seen during the deeper stages of consciousness, the subconsciousness as well as the unconscious can be probed. These are like layers of our personality. It's not the layers of the Atma. Atma doesn't have the layers. Atma is just a light, part of God, which is same in all of us. Pristine, clear, blissful, loving. You got to remember that by practicing Samyama on these sanskars, the yogis can have access to past births. And with the help of a guru, when we stay on the path, we can extinguish all these sanskars faster also. While going through this lifetime, because prarabdha which we brought with us, we have to go through it. But when we are at the feet of a guru, what happens? The difficult times, we don't go into the deep sadness. Good times, we don't just jump up and down. We stay more stable, keep on doing our sadhana, understand what's happening, understand what the purpose of life is. So next week we'll start with verse number 19. Over here he is mentioning another vibhuti, another power. So not just our own mind, he says you can have the knowledge of others' minds too. Ordinarily, yogi does not want to get entangled in anybody's mind. Sometimes there could be a need for it to help somebody. That's the only reason he will perform Samyama on that. So let's stop it here, because I always want to give you enough time so that you can ask any questions. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaye Purnameva Visheshyate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you very much.